Hey guys, Chili here. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be introducing you to the Chili Sound Pack, which is a little bit of a module that you can add to a Chili framework project and give it sound effect support. So let's dive right in. You're going to have to download these files here. You can find the links on the wiki page. Check the description of this video. And also make sure you check that wiki page because the procedure could change in the future. So make sure you check the wiki page for any updates on, the shit that you need to do. So you're going to download these files. What are they? Well, you got the sound pack itself, the stuff that you actually add to a project. Then you've got, this is a little test solution that we're going to be using to, basically to teach you how to add to a project. And here are some sounds that we're going to be using for the test. So first things first, we got to get our test subject all prepped and ready for the probing. So yeah, let's just extract this. This is the code from the end of tutorial 13, the tutorial on arrays. But even if you haven't made it that far yet, you can still follow along with this. So we got our game.cpp, and it should be fairly familiar to you guys. Maybe a little different for those of you who haven't made it to the array stuff yet, but doesn't matter. You don't need to know that stuff to follow along with this. So you got your solution thing here, you build it. Might take a little while because you got to compile all those dumb put pixel functions. And then you run the motherfucker and you get the poo. And you eat the poo and everything is good. So let's proceed to install the sound pack. So you just click here, you got a folder called engine, you just drag that into the solution folder and you merge. Shouldn't be any conflicts, so that's that. Now, second part of installation is you actually have to put those files into the solution. So you go here, there's 3 source files that need to be added to the solution, sound.cpp.h and soundeffect.h. Drag those into here, they'll go in their proper filter folders, and all is good with the world. So, how do we've installed it into the project now, but how do we actually use it? That is the question. Let's go to game.h. First of all, you got to include that shit. So include, now that's not how you spell it. And let's try harder. Sound.h. And in here, let's create a sound. We'll call it fart. And now let's initialize that. There's a bunch of ways you could do that. My preferred method is to do it in the class initializer. So you go fart. Now you got to put a string, and that's the name of the file that you're going to be loading. So a string is double quotes, and you got to give yourself that L, and that just means it's a Unicode string, a wide character string, because that's what the framework works on. So name of the file is going to be fart0.wave, and there you go. You're going to load your wave file. And now you got to actually play the wave file. You got to use it somewhere. Now we're going to use it whenever we eat a poo. The process consumption function currently doesn't signal whether a poo has been eaten or not. So let's go to poo.h and let's change this from void to bool. We want that to actually return a boolean which signals whether or not poo eating has occurred. And here we'll just we'll return true, and here we'll return false, depending on whether or not poo has been eaten. Now we'll go back to game.cpp, and in here we're gonna branch, and if process consumption returns true, meaning if poo has been eaten, we're gonna go fart.play. And that's all you need to play a sound. Just call the play function on the sound object. Pretty goddamned straightforward. Nice work, Chili, making that. Oh, problem here. What's the problem? Sound system file exception fart0.wave. Well, of course, we did not actually copy the sound file into our folder, so it's not going to be able to load it, is it? So let's go into test sounds. And we'll just drag all these motherfuckers into the engine folder. It has to be in the same folder as the source files and all the other good shit, the engine folder. So drag that in there. And there's one more step that is optional, but I like to do it, is we go into engine here and we go add new filter. Let's call this one media. And then we can go and we can drag our wave files, game oi and fart 0 through 2 into media here. You don't have to do this. I like to do it. Helps me keep track of my shiz. Might also be good for GitHub stuff. I can't remember. But anyways, so now we've got fart 0 in the proper folder. We build this fucker and let's run it. And now we got no problems. We have loaded our wave file. Now let's see if we can't get some poos. Oh shit. That was horrific. Oh god, something has gone terribly wrong. Oh, all right, I know what the problem is. It's all good. This was not expected, but it's okay. So the problem is that when we consume the poo, and let's go to poo.h. When we consume the poo is eaten is set to true, but the poo doesn't disappear. It stays where it is. And so as long as we're in that space, every frame process consumption is going to be called and this shit is going to be triggered. So what we want to do is we only want to return true if the poo has transitioned from an not eaten to an eaten state. So here, return, this is going to be tricky here. All right, if not is eaten. So if we're not eaten yet, then eaten is equal to true, return true. Otherwise, just return false. All right, so this will only set it to true if it was previously false, and it will only return true if it was previously false. This should make the sound less horrifying. Let's try this out here. What's a chili tutorial without a little bit of fail, right? That's what I always say. Okay, you fucker. Come on. No. God damn it. There we go. That was beautiful. I hope this is coming up over the microphone because I can't record my system audio. But yeah, that's it. Making the fart sound, that's how you do. Now the next question is, well, let's say you build a nice release build and you want to give it to your friend. You want to show off your amazing masterpiece work of farting, poo eating goodness. So how do you do that? Well, let's see here. Your executable is going to be here in x64 release, right? So here's your exe file. Now you're going to have to include some shit with this. So let's create a folder. Shit. We're going to call this one, this is not, here we go. We're going to call this one, would you fuck off? I didn't call you. All right. We're going to call this one distro for your distribution to your friend here. So in there, you're going to obviously want your executable. But that's not all you're going to want, right? You're also going to want to add where is it? You're going to want to add the wave file, fart0.wave. You're going to want to put that motherfucker in there. Stop scrolling over, you dumb bitch. All right. So you got your fart sound, you got your engine in here. Now, there's one more thing that you need to add, and this is important. You're going to have to add this XAudio 2_7_ something DLL. So when we installed the sound module, we also installed this folder into the engine folder called XAudio. And you've got to add one of these DLLs with your game. Now, it depends on what you use to build your game. If you built your game with x64, then you're going to want to include the 64-bit one into here. But if it was 32, you're going to want to include 32. Either way, include one of those guys in there. And then you're all good to go. And you can give this to your friend. Your friend can open it up and run it. And great. Good times. Beautiful. I love it. I shouldn't have actually moved it. I should have copied it, but whatever. I should probably move this back into here too. All right, so moving on. Now in your fart.play function call here, you've got some parameters that you can pass. They default to 1 and 1, but you can give them different parameters. The parameters are the frequency modifier. And this is basically, so this would be 1.5 times higher pitch. 0.5 would be half pitch, or 1 octave down. 2 would be 1 octave up. So you can change the pitch, and you can also change the volume. You can make it play louder or quieter in here. So if I were to go like 0.1F, that would probably be pretty fucking quiet. 0 is silence, and numbers larger than 1 are louder. The other major function call that you can make on a sound is a stop function call. So you can call stop all, and that will stop all instances of this sound playing. Because you can play a sound like 5 times, and it will play 5 different copies of that simultaneously. So you have stop all, which will stop all the copies of this sound being played at once, and you have stop 1, which will only stop 1 of the copies, but it's not that important. All right, let's turn the sound back to its default pitch and volume, and let's go into poo.h, and not poo.h, game.h, and we're going to set the number of poos to 300. So static const expression int n poo equal to 300. And if we run this motherfucker, we're going to get something interesting here. Now we're eating tons of poo. So you can see here, you can hear, maybe you can hear, I don't know. But it can play the same sound more than one time over top of itself. And they don't just like cancel each other out. But what you might notice is the sound sounds a little boring. Basically because it's the same sound effect just being machine gunned out a lot of times. It doesn't sound very natural. The same sound, like say a footstep or something, it's going to be variations every time it's instantiated, in real life. So I've created a nice class that can give you some more natural sounds. I call it sound effect. So let's go include sound effect.h. And we're going to create a sound effect, fart sound. Now sound effect gives you a variation on the same sound. And the way it does a bunch of different things. But one of the things it does is it allows you to instantiate the sound effect with, where's my game.cpp? Here it is. With basically a bank of sounds, a matrix of sounds, if you will. So in the constructor here for the sound effect, you're going to put curly braces like this. And this is a initializer list. And this will allow you to pass in multiple strings. So you're going to specify multiple wave files. You're going to go fart1.wave. They don't have to be 0, 1, 2. They can be whatever you want, but I like this. And fart2.wave. So this is going to load 3 different wave sounds, different variations on the farting theme. And then what we do is we call play on that. Now this one play requires a random number generator. So let's go back in here. What do we have? We have our RNG right here. We already have a random number generator. So let's pass it in RNG. And it uses that to, first of all, select which fart sound is going to be played. And also, it applies a small pitch adjustment. So it's not just a matrix of sounds. It's also a variation on pitch. So those two things layered together give you a nice, natural sounding sound effect that doesn't just sound like the exact same sound being machine gunned out a bunch of times. So you see that? It sounds a little better. I like it anyways. So you can play with that, and that'll give you a nice basis for adding more natural sounding sound effects. All right, let's reduce the number of poo back down. I want to try something out here. So toggle header code file. We'll reduce number of poo down to 1. And what we're going to do is when we reach game over, I want to play the game over sound. So how are we going to do this? So we'll create a bool. Let's toggle again here. We need this thing here. Trust me. Create a bool. We'll call it first game over and set it initially to false. And because every frame that all the poo have been eaten, it's going to call this draw game over. But we only want to play the sound in the first one. So we're going to go first. First of all, we're going to test if first game over. So if it is the first time that we have reached the game over point, we're going to go, we need a sound. Let's go into sound effect. Now we're going to create a sound here, and we'll just call it game over. Toggle that up. So if first game over, call game over dot play. All right, now we want to default this one to true, and then we set it to false. So first game over equals false. So this will only play the sound once. Great. Now we got to load the game over. So let's go into here, and we'll go game oi and L, god damn it, and game oi.wave. This was actually game over. I just fucked up. Game over. There we go. So build should get, there we go, game over. And there we go. Now what I want to do here is I want to show you how we can loop our sounds. So when you load a sound, you can specify just with the name, or you can specify a start point and an end point for the loop. So let's, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, where's my freaking thing here? Sound tutorial. That's not the one I want. This one is the one I want. So let's go to game oi.wave and let's open it up. I'm going to open mine up in SoundForge. You can open it up in whatever the hell you want. Probably Audigy might be a good one. I don't know. I forget what the name of those programs are. Anyways, so where is the time? This is the time in seconds, I believe. I hope. I don't actually know what it is. But if this is the time in seconds, then I want to start here. Or maybe I just want to start here. Over. So what is that? 0.587 seconds to the end, which is 0.855. So let's go 588 to 855. So we go 0.588. You put an F on the end here, and that means you want a floating point number to 0.855F. So let's build this. Let's hope it doesn't puke or anything. I want to build it in debug, because that will enable some safety checks that I'm interested in. So far, so good. Hasn't died. Now, if we get this guy. Over. Okay, that's annoying. Stop it now. But yeah, you get the idea. You can specify looping with some values here. You can also specify looping not by second, but by sample. So if you put unsigned numbers in here, like let's say 0 to, I don't know, 1,000, then it'll loop from the first sample to the 1,001st sample or whatever. I don't know. That's the idea. Anyways, the U just means unsigned. It's not important. I think it'll work without the U. Let me try. Yeah, it works without the U. No, it doesn't work without the U. You gotta put the U on the end of the numbers here. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So, samples, you put a U at the end. Seconds, you put an F at the end. It's all good. Okay. Now, one last thing about the basics here. This is pretty important. If you go into sound.h, you don't have to usually look into these files too much. But here, this part of the file right here, so line 122, these values here set the format of the WAV file, okay? Now, this code only supports loading WAV files, uncompressed PCM WAV files. So, I might support compressed audio later, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Anyways, so WAV files. Now, here is the format of the WAV files that you can load. So you can set a number of channels. So 2 is stereo, 1 is mono. samples per second. This is usually 44K or 22K. And bits per sample, this is usually 16 or 8. And all of your files that you load have to have this format. So you can't have some that are mono, some that are stereo, some that are 22K, some that are 44K. No, they all have to be the same. They all have to be the numbers that are in here. So if you want to load, you want to save some space, load some lower quality audio, you can change this to 2250, and that's fine. Just make sure that everything you have is the same and that it matches up to this stuff. This number here, you can also change it. It's just the number of simultaneous sounds that can play at once. I've set it to 64. That should be plenty, but if you want to change it for whatever reason, you can change those values in here. Everything else, you probably don't want to touch it, but this stuff, you might need to change it. All right, so that's the basics. That's the basics. Now let's talk about some more advanced stuff here. So if we go into game.cpp, you can initialize your sound objects like this, but they also have a default constructor. So even if you don't initialize them, they will construct with an empty sound that doesn't play anything. And if you want, you can assign sounds later on using the move operator. So this is a little advanced, but you can do something like this. You can go game over is equal to sound, and then you can load a sound in here. Now notice I gave the sound the wrong name. If we run this motherfucker, shit's gonna pop off. It's gonna be like, can't find that shit. Now this lets us do something a little interesting. What we can do is we can use exceptions, and again, this is advanced, so don't worry about this shit if you're a beginner just starting off. You already know everything you need to know about the sound stuff. This is just for advanced people. So you can go try, and you can go catch, and I believe that this is going to be sound system and file exception. So we'll catch it as a constant reference E, and so here we're gonna try to assign to the game over, and if that doesn't work, we'll just do nothing. So we'll catch the exception here, and in doing so, actually what we're gonna do is we're gonna set game over equal to and just an empty sound object. So you can do that, and you can run that. And what this will do is if it doesn't find the game over sound, it will just load it with an empty thing. And there you go. No problem. So you can load sounds with a soft fail using try catch. And I don't know, it's a thing you can do if you want. You probably won't need to. All right, now there's one other dumb thing you can do here. Now, if you have a wave editing program that supports cue points, what you can do is you can go into here, you can go special, well, in SoundForge, it's special, insert marker. And you can insert a marker here, and you can go special, insert marker. You insert 2 markers, and these will become the loop regions for the file. So it'll play from here to here, and then it'll loop from between these 2 markers. So you can do that. If I save this, and then when I'm loading the file, here we go, looping with auto detect defaults to false. We can pass it a true, and this will now auto detect the looping and set it to loop. So if I run this, here we go. Hasn't died, so it probably detected it. And then we go here. Game. Okay, shut up. And that's how that works. So, I mean, it's dumb. You can specify the values in the constructor, but you can also embed the loop points in the wave file and just call this. But you have to find a program that lets you set these cue points. And I don't know of any free ones that let you do it. All I know is SoundForge. So, but if you look on the internet, you just look, wave editor cue points or whatever. I don't know. You'll probably find some dumb bullshit. If any of you find a good program, let me know and I'll put it on the wiki page. All right, let me just talk some dumb bullshit here for a second. Now, there was a big challenge in creating this code library, this module, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And the thing is I built it on XAudio, right? XAudio. Now, XAudio 2.7, version 2.7, is the last version that is supported on Windows 7. So if you want people having Windows 7 to be able to hear sound, you've got to target 2.7. But the problem is, if you target 2.7, many people on Windows 8 and Windows 10 don't have this DLL. They don't come prepackaged with it. So if you target 2.7, the sound isn't going to work on Windows 8, if Windows 10. If you target, 2.8 or 2.9, then it's not going to work in Windows 7. It's a fucking bullshit. So the solution I had was to get it so that you can package these directly with the executable. Now, there are a couple of ways that this works. First off, so let's create a new folder. And we'll just call it bullshit. Bullshit name. So let's say we're going to give someone our file. So I got x64. Let's see. I got release here. This is x86. I just built that off screen. So I can copy this into the folder here. And let's open up this folder. And then you're going to want to copy in your sound files. Game away. Like that. And now here's the thing. The way that the algorithm works for loading the DLL for XAudio is, first place it looks is it tries to load it from the XAudio that's installed on the system. So if possible, if the user has XAudio installed on their Windows, XAudio 2.7, it will load that. If it's not there, it will search the folder XAudio in the same folder as the executable. So it'll try to load it from here. And if that fails, it will try to load it from here in the same folder. So if you want, you can package it in the same folder, or you can package it in a subfolder called XAudio. Either way is motherfucking fine. But you have to package it. And if you don't package it, it's probably going to fail on the user. It might work for people with Windows 7. It will probably work on their system unless they've never installed any games. But on Windows 8 and 10, it has a very high probability of not working if you don't package the DLL. I fucking moved it over, didn't I? So you package the DLL and it should all work fine. You don't need to do both of them. You just need the one that corresponds to the build you're using. This is 32-bit, so I put in _32 in here. Now, like I said, this code here, it only supports WAV files. It doesn't support loading, MP3 files or OGG files or whatever. Compressed audio not supported. So if you want to, have a 5-minute song and load that in, that's going to be I don't know how many megabytes it is. 20 megabytes, 50 megabytes. I don't know how much it is. Probably 50 megabytes. It's going to be pretty damn big. So it's not good for, big audio files. And I know a lot of you are going to be like, Chili, I want to load my MP3s. And, well, I'll tell you what. I will consider upgrading this to load compressed audio, but only if I get a lot of demand for it and I see a lot of people actually using this code, because it's going to be a pain in the ass for me to develop the code needed to load compressed audio. I actually had most of this stuff already built from a different thing I was working on, so it wasn't a big deal. But to load compressed audio, it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. I will do it, but I'm going to need to see two things. I'm going to need to see people asking for it, and I'm going to need to see people actually using this audio library and making shit. And if you share that shit, and I see that people are actually using this shit, then I will consider, upgrading it and giving you guys support for compressed audio. And that's that. So, yeah, that's basically everything about the sound module here that you need to be able to do dumb bullshit with it. And hopefully I can see your dumb bullshit. I want you guys to make cool shit and share it with everyone in the community. Speaking of which, a lot of people have been having trouble signing up for the forum. So I'm just going to put this here. Let's see here. What do we got? Here. So this is the list of things that goes to the bottom in the forum sign up, because I know a lot of you guys have been having trouble. You haven't been able to figure out the CAPTCHA, which is the thing that I use to, separate the spam bots from the people. So this is the solution to the CAPTCHA. These are the items that you have to go to the bottom list. So in case that you're having trouble with that, here's how you can use this. Sign up on the forum, post your dumb bullshit that you made. It's all good. We want to see your dumb bullshit. But yeah, that's the sound module for the framework. It's all good. I'm Chili. Peace out.